So before I start, if you get any questions during the presentation, just go to Slido, put the code GeeCON, room number, and you can put some questions there, and I will try to answer them after the session. You can give me also feedback, so I will really, really appreciate it. So you can grab it now or just go to Slido later. Before I switch to terminal, because there will be 90% of the live session in the terminal, I need to give you some context. And to give you that, I will use a metaphor. Imagine a blacksmith, just a regular blacksmith during the medieval, and a customer. And this customer asked to create a shield for him. Our blacksmith will need to ask himself at least 3 questions. First one, what material should I use? And with that particular question, he will go back to the customer and ask what material this shield should have. Because the choosing of material will have a really big impact on price, on quality attributes of that particular shield. Then he will ask another question himself, what shape this shield should have. And again, he will go back to customer and ask what shape this shield should have. And in case of the customer, we say, oh, I want this really fancy shape of this shield. Blacksmith can go, oh, well, but you know, I can do that, certainly, I can do that. But with that kind of shape, it will be no possibility to use this shield on the battlefield. And also, you will not go to fight with that shield. And then will be the third question, among a lot of others probably. What tools should I use to create that particular shield? And with that question, he will not go to the customer, because the customer don't give a damn, you know, what tools he will use, what hammers, what nails, that kind of things. And I believe there is a strong correlation between this metaphor and our IT. There are questions that we need to go to customer and discuss with customer. But there are questions that we can choose by ourselves. It's not that simply, to be honest. Why? Just because we are working in a team, we need to cooperate, we need to discuss things, that kind of stuff. But in the end of the day, there are certain things that it doesn't matter how you will achieve. The important factor is what you will create and in what time. And 6 or 7 years ago, I came into a conclusion that if you take out our cooperation, agile, that kind of stuff, if it go to the technical stuff, just technical stuff, there are 2 components of technical job. First one is knowledge. Knowledge gives you possibility to solve problems. Knowledge gives you possibility to choose frameworks, choose languages, technologies, that kind of stuff. Knowledge is supposed to push your career forward. But then there is the second factor. And I would like to call this second factor skill proficiency. And it's the same with our blacksmith. Our blacksmith can create the same shield, choosing all the materials, shapes, and all that stuff, a little bit faster or a little bit slower. And that will depend only on his skill proficiency, you know? And I think that's the same. So I would like you, in today's session, think in that way. You can learn to have more knowledge, but learning knowledge needs time. You need time to learn something. So even if you do that on the go during your work, you will find out that, okay, so I don't know that thing yet, so I need to learn that thing now. So you start reading documentation, trying some POCs, that kind of stuff, to learn something. But with skills proficiency, it's a little bit different, because if you start writing source code or whatever doing at your job, you probably will increase your skill proficiency, just like that. But you can go even further if you think about it. What I can do now, so the next time I will receive the similar task, I will do it a little bit faster. And at the end of some time, after a year, month, or something like that, you will find out that you got more time. And you can use that time to learn knowledge. or just to solve other problems for other customers, or particularly the single customer. And I'm telling it because in a couple of minutes I will open terminal, and some of you probably are very efficient in terminal. So maybe there will be nothing new. I hope there will be some. Some of you may be not very efficient with the terminal. Some of you maybe is not very efficient with terminal. In such case, please look at this session like a showcase. This is the place that you can be at some point. Why not? You just need to spend some time on the go. In case you know all of that, use the same conclusion. So you're at the better place maybe now, but if you spend some more time, you can be even further. Because it's a journey, you know? It's all about the road. Any RPG game players or usual game players here? We got some, so I got a question. What's at the beginning of RPG game? When you start, you see the menu, you press play button. What's usually at the beginning of the RPG game?
Create a character.
Yeah, that's correct answer. It's not the answer that I'm looking for though, because you already choose your characters. We get software ninjas, software warriors, software gardeners, and your parents did the best possible way with your DNA. I don't want to mess with that, so that's not the answer that I was looking for. What's after the creating of tutorial? When you press play, because we already did that. Sorry? Stats distribution. What? Yeah, you press play. I know. I'm the old-time gamer. Fallout 2, Baldur's Gate. When you start playing game, you press play. You create the character. That's obvious. And after that, you need to do something. You usually don't want to, because if you played any other game, you already know that stuff. Sorry? Yes, exactly. That was the answer that I'm looking for. A tutorial. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to invite to the Linux Terminal Efficiency Game tutorial. And I will be your host. Please enjoy the ride. And what's very important, after this session, there is a link to GitHub repository. You can grab it, so you don't need to note anything. You can just sit and relax, right? And keep in mind what I said. Where will we start? We'll start with something simple. I found out that in case of the efficiency and in case of the game tutorial, it's really important to have a story. Okay, so let's start our story here. Wake up. So imagine that we are after hibernation. That's the usual game stuff. So we don't know what happens. That's the excuse for pushing us through the tutorial, you know. So first pillar of the efficiency is to know how to move around. Let's learn it in an efficient way. So probably what you all knew is this change directory command. That's the very obvious one. You can change directory by it, you know. You can go to home with tilde. You can go back with dash. So you can use it as a toggle, that kind of thing. And a lot of people will do something like that tab, and I will go here, ls, and I will go here, list, that kind of stuff. That's not very efficient, you know. So what can I do better? There's a lot of possibilities. The first simple is project jump. I'm not really using it, but for the sake of the demo, you can configure your system to say, okay, these are my projects in that directory, that directory, that directory, and it will help you to determine wherever there are these projects, you can just jump to it really fast. That's the first thing. There's a second thing. There is a tool that's called pushd, pubd. With pushd, you can put particular directory on a stack. Like pushd, maybe I will go here, pushd videos, yeah? And I'm putting it on the stack, so I can pop this on at any point in time. But you need to remember it. That's not very efficient, isn't it? What you can do is to run auto push, so it will be all pushed. So any directory I was doing this session with you today was pushed on the stack. And I can list these directories using D, for example. And what can I do with it? I can open, change directory, so maybe the second one. And here you go. Any within the current session. So there is a limitation there. What if I am looking for a directory that is not within my current session? What can I do then? And then it comes the Z plugin. Z plugin is to rule them all, you can say. It's the best. So if you remember something about directory, about something that you are looking for, you just put a small phrase of it. So I remember something about shell or something like that. Here you go. It just found out where it is. From any directories I was in the past, you can say. So that's a little bit more efficient. So you can create your directory structure in more, let's say, organized manner. You can create a lot of directories, and you don't need to bother that you will need to cd that, cd that, cd that. You can just use Z and jump in any place you can. And you want. OK. What if I was not there in directory? I need to find directory. I need to find particular file. So you can use other tools. Probably you know find. So I'm finding from here. I'm finding by name any file with Java. Oh, maybe not from here. It will be a little bit too much. So I'm finding from here any file that start and end with Java. Oh, I got something, you know. So that was easy. That was really basic as well. What's a little bit better? There is something like, what if I don't remember name, or I just remember a partial thing, and I don't want to start this asterisks thing, that kind of thing. So I can use FZF. FZF is just fuzzy search. So now I'm in the fuzzy search mode. So I will write some partial name. So let's say I am looking for this shell factory, something like that. Oh, that's the one. So maybe I can open it or something like that. Funny thing about this, it will return a path. So you can pipe these things together. So imagine that I want to open in Vim anything that I will find using fuzzy search. And for example, I will do shell color or something like that, and I open it, and you can see that Vim also supports colors. That's pretty nice. OK, so that will be about searching, finding the files. Sometimes you don't want to search because you don't have in mind anything in particular. You just want to look around the structure. What can I use there? There's a tree command. It will print, oh, my tree. So maybe limit that a little. That will be a shorter way of doing that. But there are better tools, like brute, written in Rust. Brute is just tree, but you can move around here. You can go to any particular file. You can open that file, that kind of stuff, in your choice of the editor. So the brute will help you to move around, see some files, look what's there, open it if you need, that kind of stuff. Then we'll go with finding within the files. For that, you can use the obvious one, grep. So I'll recursively search for, I don't know, Hollywood. And it will eventually find me all the things that starts with Hollywood. On using the regex expression, have the Hollywood. If you deal with large amount of files or large amount of text, and you want to grep through them, you will find out that grep takes a while. So the second time it will go a little bit faster, but it took about 2 seconds here. We can measure the time. So it eventually takes 2.2 seconds. It's not too much, to be honest. So that's pretty cool. The first time was a little bit slower. I hope that you found it. But what you can use ripgrep. And it's the grep on steroids that is extremely, extremely fast. It also takes into account your git ignore files by default and a lot of nice things. So you can use that in, we need to do the proper test, so that should be the same result. Yeah, and you can time that thing. So in this case, in this particular case, the time is come because it needs to print on the screen. So that takes time, not the actual search. But if you got a lot of big data, gigabytes of data, and you need to grab through that and find certain things, go with ripgrep. Honestly, it's amazing tool. So we know how to open directories. We know how to search for files. We know how to search within the files and finding these files. What else? we should know, I open the support files, and we should know how to check what's in the content. So probably you know cat. Cat just showed you the content of particular file. Tail will show you the end of the file. Head will show you the beginning of the file. So in case of really large file, for example, this research and development CSV, it's extremely large. So if I will do cat on that, it will just go and go and go until it prints the overall. So you can use tail, you can use more, you can use less. Less is more on steroids. There are a little bit more features in that. You can use most. So there's a lot of that kind of tools. The one I would like to show you is BAT, so better cut. Better cut means that you get auto formatting, you get coloring. If you don't want, you don't need to have these numbers, lines, that kind of things, and it automatically checks if you are using it in piping mode. It will not print that kind of stuff, so it will just print the text that you require. So, but it's really fine to work with. So I think we are ready now for the next step, because I get more funny things for you. So we know how to move around. Now it's time to check if you remember all tools and weapons that you need to know. So in the tutorial, it's called managing your inventory. We need to wear a helmet. We need to have some kind of shield, some kind of weapon before we go to the real battle. And in case of tools, I like to use another metaphor. In games, you get passive and active things in your inventory. Passive things are the things that you just wear and you benefit from it. You know, you put ring on your finger and you get +10 to charisma, you know, +10 to defense. You don't need to think, I want to use my +10 to charisma ring. You just need to wear it, you know, and it's just working, some kind of auras, that kind of things. And there are active tools. You need to use a weapon to hit someone. You need to spend some action points, to be honest. And it's the same as working with the terminal. There are tools that are passive, so you don't need to spend your active action points. And there are active tools that you will need to spend your action points, so you need to execute something. So what are the passive tools? First of all, as you can probably see, I'm using a two-line prompt in my shell. First line, it's my status line. Second line is for execution, so I write comments here. No? And the first line is on my status. The first thing that you probably will notice that I'm using a Git repository and I'm on branch main. That's the thing that you already know. If I will change branch, I'm on purpose not using shortcuts here. Okay, you will see that I'm changing the branch. If I will change something, so let's edit README. Let's go at the end. And maybe let's change a line. Maybe this one. Yes. Shall check twice. Okay. So what's happened there? There is an exclamation mark. That means that something happened there. I can see that. I can use bat. That's another benefit of bat. And if I will bat that file, I will see at the very end of the file, I will see tiled here where I changed something, and I will see plus sign when I added something. You see that, yeah? That's a really neat feature of the bat. And what can I do? Git stash, let's change. So I see that I've got something on my stash. Git stash pop. I already back to the place I git stash drop, and I'm back. No? So that's the status. It's simple. That's one of the simplest things that you can use as a passive tool. It just takes care for you about information, about provision some information. But there are better. Maybe not better, they are different. Let's open some applications. So let's open Java 11 application. And what you can see now is that I'm using Maven, and there is a snapshot version. And if you see that my Java version changed automatically to 11, just because I opened that directory in terminal. So if you have a lot of Java versions and a lot of projects, you can just take care of it. So you don't need to, which version I'm using for that project or that project. Let's try if it works for other. So I will go back. Oh, restored my Java version to 20 Temurin. That's cool. So let's go to the Cave application. And here I'm using 17. That's on purpose. I'm just choosing different things. Does it work for other things? Let's open some Angular application. Yeah, I'm using that node and that kind of stuff. So it just works. So that's the passive tool, you know. You don't need to take care about it. Oh, I put it in the train. Sorry for that. That's supposed to be ls, but I'm still having sl. OK, so that's the passive tool. It's the SDK man. If I will go to the, let's say, some kind of directory with Docker, I will do eval. I will see what Docker registry I'm using now, that kind of stuff. It just shows when it needed. It disappears when I don't need it. Kind of, maybe not intellectual way, but it just works. And it shows how much something taken. So in case I do sleep to a long operation, I will see that it took 5 seconds. It could be beneficial if you just want to, okay, oh, how much this ingestion process or something took roughly. You know, you don't need to take care of the correct number or something like that, but you just want to have a number, how much it will take, because for the other cases you want to use that and leverage. So these are the passive tools. There are a lot of them. You need to be aware of one. If you add too much, it will slow down your terminal. And if you will have slowed down your terminal, it's not about efficiency, you know. So you need to find a good point there. I'm using SDK man for that, and SDK man is really great to automatically change your Java version, but you need to turn the online mode, turn off the offline mode. Because in other way, every time that you open a catalog and you will change some Java, that kind of things, it will check back internet. Is there a newer version of that Java? You don't want to do that. It's not about efficiency. It's extremely slow, to be honest. OK, so what about the active tools? If you will have take out from this session one tool, let it be this. So I'm not sure how you use terminal, but you may say, I forget things. So I don't know if I want to create a symlink. Should I put first from to or to from? So what's the first? Or when I'm extracting some files, what does this flags, extract, x, d, whatever? I don't remember that things. And manuals, let's say the tar manual, are not fun to read, to be honest. Now that's, what does this flags, maybe at the end? No, at the end, no, the fatal errors, that's not the thing that I'm looking for. There is a TLDR, too long, don't read. That works for me, tar. It's community-driven. It checks internet, of course, but it gives you some snippets. How can you use? So if I want to create zipped archive from a directory using relative path, here you go, that's the snippet. If I want to use LN and I want to create, I see that the path to file and path to symlink in that order. That's pretty cool. So TLDR is one of the greatest things there. What are the other active tools? There are some built-ins, like Control-R. You already saw that I'm using it. I'm showing what I'm using. It will look back through your history. Because what you can do in the 50s, you can use history. You see some history. Commands that I did execute during this session and previously. And you can do, OK, so exclamation mark, and I would like to execute one more time 5702. 5702, so Java version. Oh, CD, that's different, but you know the drill, yeah. So that was in the late 50s. Now we are using Control-R, and you have search through the history. So in case of Java version or some kind of, I don't know, kubectl stuff, that kind of things, it's using fuzzy search within your history and then executes it. Beautiful. That's one of the most convenient way. In case you are editing something, let's open some file. I will go back 3 steps, multiple dots. Scripts. Let's say I will open this Python script. And let's imagine that I'm editing something, or maybe not Python. It's not a good example. I'll open the maybe scripts, and I will open this simple echo system. So what you can do here is you probably find yourself sometimes in a situation that you edit something and you want to check if it's working. and then edit something, and again, check if it's working. So I'm not sure if you know that you can run script directly from the Vim, just like that, and it will execute by itself. That's the first thing. It works for non-interactive scripts. In case of interactive scripts, don't just close, open again, close, open again. You can do it a little bit better. So you can map your Control-Z to do like a toggle. So when I'm doing Control-Z, I will push Vim into the background. I can do some stuff here. Yep, and I can press Control-Z again, and I'm back with my script. And I can do like this over and over again. So that's a pretty neat feature that you can leverage for yourself. So that's a kind of shortcuts that are, some of them are built in, because Control-Z is built in, it always pushes to the background, but usually you need to use FG for ground command to get back, but you can alias that for you, so that's the easy stuff. And there are a lot of other tools. Some of them are pretty useful in some cases, like, I don't know, you can use, let's see that, you can use lazy git, for example, and I bring mouse especially for that. That's my mouse, because I will use this one there, and it's working. You can click on your terminal. That's not a real problem, and see through some kind of the changelog, that kind of things. So, so that's the one. There is obviously lazy git for that, so you can check the branches. Again, I'm using a mouse. Okay, and enough with the mouse. So that's the tools. You can leverage some tools for Kubernetes like KineNS. That's kind of useful, but I'm really more, I love the kubectl. But here you can go and see some, I don't know, logs, that kind of things. That's the stuff that's working, and we're using it later. So that will be the tools that you can install. Again, don't install too much, because you will not find yourself efficient and proficient in using that tools. Just use some tools, you know. I will give you an example. Let's say that we want to find out the name of the pod that is working on Kubernetes. And obviously, you can say kubectl, okay, get pod, and you can go with that, for example. Or even further, you can select the filtering and select you just simple and one, just a name of the pod without this usual get, without these all other stuff. But if you are not familiar with kubectl, and there are a lot of tools that using this columnar thing, you can do a little bit different way. So you can just go kubectl, get pods, then you can grab for only shell something, so that will give you the shell mon, and you can use AWK. It's extremely nice tool for that and for processing text. And I would like to print first column, yeah, and you get the same result. So you can achieve same result using different solutions. Some of them will be made more native, more better in some use cases. If you are familiar with kubectl, just use kubectl, because why not? But in other cases, if there are some tools that you will barely use and you just want to get the job done, and you know the few simple tools like AWK, set, or other, then you can just use them. There are other tools that can you help with learning things like Navy. Navy is the thing that will guide you through execution of the terminal. I don't like it, but I will show it. kubectl, we'll maybe can get details from resource on namespace. I'll enter. So what resource should I look for? I look for deployment. What name? Well, that will be maybe cave, for example. And what namespace? I'm using default namespace. Enter, and that creates the overall solution for that. I don't like it, but it got a really neat feature. It's very easy to provide your book and your configuration to help your CLI tools be used by people that totally don't know about CLIs. So you can provide some kind of more graphical usage and the learning on the go for your tools. That's kind of fun way of doing that. Okay, so I'm feeling that we already know about our inventory, and we need to go further. So let's go. In the games, after you know how to move around, after you know how to pick up your weapon and put your helmet, that kind of things, you know your passive magical rings and that kind of stuff, you start to think about, okay, so let's put this guy to some real battle, and we'll have the same. And usually in games, the real battle is mostly about killing mice, rats, that kind of stuff, ants in Fallout 2, that kind of basic thing. So we'll do practically the same. I will execute that once more, and I will show you about the, try to show you a kind of feeling how you can work in your terminal. So let's open more than one. Maybe like that and like that. That's one of the usual cases that I am working on. In one, we will use again this episode 2. We know that there is some kind of shell moon rising, whatever it is, and we need to find the GEC, Garden of Eden Creation Kit from Fallout. Okay, before it rises. So we have timey thing here. This will give us more time to find effectivity script, and we'll revert the shell moon. Okay, and we got here a hint. We need to find a cave and listen to cave messages echo. Okay, so we can use, for example, we can start with K and S because we are lazy. And we see that there is a shell moon and there is a cave. Let's go to the right terminal and think, okay, so we need to watch something. There's a lot of possibilities to watch something, and there is a lot of situations when you need to watch something, some kind of log, some kind of the chat or status check, that kind of things, and you just want to have that on that side. That's the thing I want to leverage. So let's find the URL address for Shellmon. Let's add additional tool. It will be http. http is for the execution HTTP request. I know that there is wget, there is curl, but they are just terrible to use. They're not user-friendly at all. http just gives you possibility to run post, get queries, put queries, that kind of things with really, really easy stuff. But today we'll just try to find the status of shell. Okay, so we see that the status is hidden, so nothing wrong is happening yet. We want to watch that, so let's watch that with some colors, pretty N5. So for every 5 seconds, we will execute that command, and we will see the output of that. So let's have that here. We'll have our information on the side, and let's take about job. So what we have. We have a hint. You need to find a cave and listen to cave messages. So let's go to the cave. We got it here. And the messages. Oh my. So that's not readable at all. No? Maybe, oh, not that one. Hold it by mouse. That's, I got different shortcuts on the presentation and on the real account. Okay, so we can use kubectl for that. Let's find the Shellmon name, so we can find that. Logs, for example, follow, and we can even copy paste that if you like. So, oh my, there is a lot of it, and there are a lot of messages. No, I wanted to go about Shellmon. I want to go to the cave. That's the usual stuff that live demo never goes in the way that you want. Okay, so that's the cave, and there are a lot of messages, and we see that there is a lot of stuff. So how to deal with that? I will show you a few features and few applications to deal with that. So in case you are really advanced, there is a slight chance that you don't know that one, Ultimate Plumber. So you can feel like a Mario here. Ultimate Plumber is a tool that helps you create pipes. So in Linux and in Bash, you can pipe things from one to another. So you can go like we did with the get the pod name. For example, you can get get pod, you can grab. So that's the pipe. You are directing output of one command to another command. Yeah? And sometimes you can just re-enter it a few times, but at some points you want to do a little bit more digging, that kind of stuff. So you can use Ultimate Plumber. So let's get logs from the cave and put them directly into our Ultimate Plumber. No, they're not found. That's not the okay, logs f cave. It's a different one. Ultimate Plumber. I'm seeing a pipe at the beginning. So what I can do here, I can I can do any kind of thing. So grep, echo. I'm just searching for something. Oh, there is something. Okay, maybe that's the thing that I want. So I got this beginning, and it's looking like the same. So I will just cut it off. So I'll cut by characters, starting from 98 because I calculated that really briefly, and I'm here. So I just cut at this beginning, so I can look for the rest. So let's get further. Another pipe. We need to find a cave and listen to cave messages echo. So let's see if there is some kind of echo. Oh, there is echo, and as you can see, it's look like a JSON. So let's format it as a JSON. Maybe it's feeling like there are a lot of the same things. So maybe take just first one and format it as a JSON. JQ, really great tool for processing JSON files. There is also YQ for YAML files. You can select, find, search, replace. A lot of features are there. So JQ, what I can do within the JQ. And as you can see, our status changed. The moon started to rising. So we need to hurry up. Okay? So what have we got? I don't know what I've got. I get the echo messages, so I will go to the echo messages. I will select that. So I've got the things. Maybe let's check what keys are there. So I get content, description, ID, and path. And you can see that in our tip, we need to listen to it carefully. You will find your answer under path with content gag. So let's try to find that. So what we need to do, we want to select content, Garden of Eden creation kit. Oh, and here it is. There is a path to script. We found it. So let's maybe go deeper. Just check the path. We got some path. You will not see that, but I'll put it a little bit to the right. And maybe at the end of this, I will just that's the OK. I will just use R, so it will be row. So without the quotes, I will close it with Control X, and as you can see, it created a script up to sh. Let's see that up to sh. Oh, that's the thing that we already written. Yeah. So what I can do next time is I can go. Okay, so I just did that thing, but I will did that thing. I don't need that one. Yeah, that's the script. It needs to be from here. Yeah, and it will just execute, and I get the same. So I automated thing on the go. That's pretty cool, So what we can do, we need to open it. So let's put that to some kind of variable, like vault, because we need to execute that, And let's execute vault. Oh, what's that? I will close that. Oh, there's a lot of it. So, oh, sorry. What happened there? And again. The thing about the scripts is, the thing about the scripts is that you always need to read them before you execute them. That's the most important factor. Okay, so I did that on purpose. Okay, so we found it before it rised. That's so cool. What else we can use during the battle? Sometimes you copy some kind of script from the internet, like large fast of execute something, install something, that kind of things. And the scripts are kind of long sometimes, that there's thing and the thing and the thing and the thing. So what you can do is they're really pretty neat, and it's built in Bash since, I don't know, about late 90s or something like that, shortcut. If you didn't find out until this point, there is a panel on the bottom right corner when you can see shortcuts that I am putting and all the typing things, that kind of stuff. So there's a script. It's Control X E, Control X E. And I am now in editing mode, so I can write anything like echo, maybe shebang, bin, dash. I don't need to write it. Echo hello. Echo GeeCON, echo 2023. You know? So a lot of lines, different things. When I will save it, it will just be in my terminal, and I can execute it. And in case I will see, oh, I made a mistake, I can go back, Control-X-A, and I'm here again. And I can edit it further. Oh, I use an exclamation mark. So I did a mistake, because I shouldn't do that here. Not the straightforward, you need to use a backslash for that. Okay, so that's another factor that you can use that is pretty cool and pretty neat thing. There are also different things like you execute something, you forget about sudo, classical thing, so you just want to use sudo for the last command, you can press double escape and you get the sudo here. Oh, I don't want the sudo, so I could press double escape and I don't have sudo, that kind of stuff. But let's go further. How much time do I have? Not too much. So I will just skip that. 3. We finally understand how to, we did it. Finally, the last factor. So we know how to move around. We know how to manage our inventory with passive and active tools, and we know how to fight our own battles. There are a lot of other tools, and I will show just one because I forgot to show you. If you need to shell SSH to some kind of the server with your colleague and you even happen to share your screen to see wherever you're writing together, don't use that anymore. You can run, for example, bobu, and it will run a shell within a shell, and I will run bobu again. So that's the 2 different people, yeah? And if one writing something, the other can see that. Yeah, and you can have multiple terminals here and work at that. That's pretty neat to use on the workplace. Okay, so let's close all of that, and go to the crafting. And crafting, in terms of terminal, is about automation. And what about automation we can do and automate our environment? First are aliases. So if you don't use cat anymore because you are using bat, you can in your initiation script, put something like that. So cat is bad with P, because why not? Because I don't want to remember. And then when I use cat, yeah, and I will use bat. So you can do a lot of kind of things like that. You can use aliases for suffixes that not are very popular. For example, I got some YAML files here. If I will open applications, and the cave probably, there is a YAML file. And look what I'll do. Mini cube cave YAML without any operation on it, enter, and it's opened by Vim. Why? Because I created alias for all YAML files that will be automatically opened by Vim. And it's really easy to do. I can show you how. In my CSH RC, I will have alias. YAML, that's the kind of the aliases for, and I'm using NeoVim, but that's another story. Okay. So that's about the basic of automations. What's further? Let's go to the scripts. I need to go back. So you can create a script like that. Git home will give you struct to the home of the Git repository, wherever you are in the Git. So it will just calculate it. You can create such a script for that. So let's go to scripts. In case of scripts, if you can write it, what's amazing about terminal, if you can write it in terminal, you can automate it, because you already did it, to be honest. You can put whatever you did into the script. And it could be script, it could be the just regular bash script. And the first line in all scripts, maybe I will rerun that, in the first line in all scripts are about the saying about that's my execution environment. Yeah. So here I will run it on bash. But you can write the reverse number with Python. It's an environment in Python. And I think the most important one here is this, is it coffee time? Because it's a script written in Java. So I would like to call it a JavaScript, the proper one, obviously. So because it's a script and it's written in Java, you know? And it will calculate how much time do I have left until the coffee break. So I get 4 minutes. Oh my, let's go further. You can use tools such as expect In case you get some tools that need to provide some input, in case it's just yes, you get the yes command, you can yes pipe, and it will say yes for everything. Don't use it on production. But in case there are tools that expect you, for example, during the installation phase, expect to write something, you can use the expect tool. Like, we are expecting that at some point our script will say enter the number to reverse, and we will send this particular string to that. So this script, reverse numbers, that kind of feeling, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will reverse it. And I automated that using the expect. So expect, and it's automated. I don't need to put anything. So it's all about automation. If you want to go further, you can create your own scripts. I really encourage you to see what Bashly can offer you. Again, sorry for that. I should use at least the dark background for it. Okay, so Bashly is a framework that can create you really easy using the YAML. That's not really easy, but using the YAML, you can define what the commands will be within your script, and it will create a command for you. For example, I will do it extremely fast. I will copy that. I will paste that here. I will change the name, just the name for GeeCON. There are some flags, maybe not necessary. I will go Bashly generate. It will generate a script GeeCON command for me. And look what we did. Gec h, I get the help out of the box. I get the help for my command, how to use it. GeeCON, and I can run this script, and whatever I wrote in that script, it can be executed. So I think that's it. How to exit VM? Okay, just in a second. Okay, so that's the link. I will share it on Twitter if you want to grab it. So to exit Vim, there are various ways. But usually with Q, and if Q doesn't work, you add exclamation mark, so you just skip all everything. If you want to write to the save your progress, you just WQ, so write Q. Okay, let's go to the questions. Is BAT built in or needs to be downloaded? It needs to be downloaded. For a lot of Linux instances, it's already in the official repository. So for Ubuntu, Arch, I'm familiar that it is. Not for all. For Fedora, I think it's not, but I'm not sure about it. Are these commands built in? Are the aliases commands from the beginning? So what I did here is I using ZSH with all my ZSA. There are some plugins added. But what was important as a target for me, you can have the same environment as I have here on Windows using Windows subsystem Linux, on Mac, obviously, and on Mac, ZSH, I think it's by default right now, and on Linux. That's kind of obvious. How to do it? If you grabbed the link that I already showed, and if not, then just come by or find it. Then there is a simple tutorial how to install it. There are also Docker images that you can play around with it. There are some tools that that needs to be installed. Some are compiled and needs to be just downloaded. And these tools are amazing because even if you don't have root and that kind of you don't have privileges to install anything, you can just push some kind of the tools there, Are these commands built in? Are the aliases? Aliases you can provide by yourself. There are plugins that install your aliases. But what you can do if you can't install the aliases, you can just go and grab the list of aliases provided from GitHub repository and copy it into your ZSH RC or Bash RC. How can I easily my toolbox when connectivity? That's just what I thought. Can you provide manual from this presentation? So the full GitHub repository with all these scripts, all these applications that are barely written are on that GitHub repository. So you can play around with it. You can do the same demo. You can run tutorial, So that's there. What's the name of terminal use? Terminator. It's a Terminator. It's on Linux. I'm not sure it's on Mac. On Mac, there are a lot of good terminals. Pick up just one that will be sufficient for you. Just remember to extend the history limit to infinite. because you just don't want the last 1,000 commands to be remembered when you use Control-R. You just want to have whole world at your hand. Are you using OnMyZSH? I'm using OnMyZSH or some other tool to manage plugins for No, I'm just using OnMyZSH. I don't have time to use these fancy, there are a lot of fancy tools. I'm just not using it. My installation when I'm creating, configure a new machine, should take about 30 minutes with installation of the system, and then I download my private repository with whole configuration, and I will run some Ansible scripts, and that's it. And it's all provided. So I automated that, to be honest. But to be honest, if you start small, install OnMyZSH, install ZSH, and change it as your default, install a few tools like BAT or that kind of tools that you really need, and some default aliases, because there are a lot of aliases and there are a lot of helping commands that you probably saw that when you, I don't know, kubectl, and I press tab, I just see all of the possibilities here and I can search through them, that kind of things. So that's default things that when you run plugin, it's just there. And I'm using maybe 5 plugins plus SDK man for the auto Java selecting, that kind of things. And that's all questions. Thank you. If you have any more, I am here for whole day. I will be here for the party and tomorrow morning as well until about the noon. So after that, I need to leave. Again, yeah. Yeah, I can.